And the shot.
Move back a little bit.
All right.
Okay, thank you. Oh, actually, it's me. I'm sorry. It was fun. Okay. Could we talk a little bit about that game, Tom? You hurt your leg. Is it a cramp or what?
No, I hurt the heel. It is either a sharp bone bruise on the heel or a heel spur. And at the 18th point, he was winning 17-10. In the play for the 18th point, the volley went from one side then to the other, and when I went to the right side, I fell down on the ground and felt a sharp pain in my left heel.
Right. Now, had that changed your strategy? I noticed that you were avoiding the volley and going for killers, which is your game anyway. But had that made you feel as if I'm gonna have to beat him on every shot? Had that changed your strategy?
Well, most of the time I do go for aces on the serve. Right. That had to reinforce that even more.
Right.
There is no chance of beating someone like Gino unless I just finish it right away. He's a very fast player. He's a good court player.
Right.
So what I decided to do was just give up on the 3 points and take another 5-minute rest after the 15-minute rest that I got, and I put ice on it.
Right.
And Gino said that he was a little cold. I thought maybe that he had lost, because of the injury, that he had lost some of his, concentration and ferocity, and that he took it easy because he let me score a lot of points on the serve,
Right. I noticed you had a lot of aces on him after you got the bruise, Tom.
Yes. And I did serve a little bit better in the second game, and I think also that he let up a little bit. Yeah. And that's a natural feeling when you're playing someone who's injured.
Right. Thomas, tell us the first year you entered a national championship.
Do I have to?
Yeah.
I think it was about 69, somewhere around.
I remember that year.
Yeah.
Only 22 years?
No, it's only 22 years ago.
Really?
Yes.
And tell us when you started playing handball. Were you about 4 or 5 or 6?
I was 8.
And that was at Crotona Park?
No, it was at 164th Street because I was playing there, and then I went over to Crotona Park in the Bronx at about 10.
And you used the pink ball back in those days, right?
A little bit. And then I switched over to at that time it was a 555 black ball. I think that was the ball that was being used at that time.
Did you ever play four wall in your whole life?
Yes.
Where did you do that?
Played in the Nassau Boat Club the first time. That's where I learned. Then I played in the Yonkers Y and the New Rochelle Y, and now in the White Plains Y.
Remember in the old days you used to use the old black ball? How does that compare with the new blue ball so far as the speed of the ball responding off the wall, the feeling on the hand, the possibility of a pain in the shoulder because there isn't as much resistance with the blue ball? How do you figure those things out?
Well, there are really 2 blue balls I'd like to compare it to. The first blue ball that came out, and then the Mexican blue. I like the 555 and the Mexican blue. I preferred those to the blue that was in the middle. For some of the reasons that you were saying that the balls were heavier, so that when you hit them, they stayed down. And for someone like myself who serves, I like a heavy ball because it won't carry off the court. It won't sail off.
In your mind's eye, how far in the future do you see yourself still participating in these tournaments?
For as long as I can play one-wall singles, I'll certainly be in the singles. I'll be certainly there in the 50s if this heel spur doesn't get me.
Well, take care of your foot. We don't want to keep you on your foot. We want you to heal, okay?
All right.
And now we got to prepare this court, I think, for the next match. But thanks for your comments and your views, and thanks for your friendship over all these many years.
Of course.
Okay.
Right.
The gentleman in front of you is part of New York's finest, the police department. His name is Anthony Bertolino. He's a fine player. He used to come down here on his bike, keeping order just by his very presence, and he loves the game of handball. With that in mind, he was selected for the picture that appeared in the April 22nd, 1991 Sports Illustrated, and he represents the cross-section of the people you see down here. What I want to ask Anthony now is to give some of his inner thoughts about what he thinks about the place in general, what he thinks about the people in general, and what he thinks about this great game of handball. Anthony.
Well,
you can just hold it right there. We'll pick it all up.
I play handball and paddleball just about every day. And as far as the place to work, it's a good place to work. I get along with all the people around here.
Keep going, keep going.
In the courts and everything, and it's a good precinct to work.
What's the basic character of the people that you get involved with down here? Are they nice people, or there's somebody that you just have to control?
They're pretty all right.
Okay. What was your feeling when you saw your picture in the Sports Illustrated? Because that goes all around the world, you know?
Yeah.
And
I was happy. It was nice.
And now you're a legend because you're on our board.
I don't know about that.
Okay. Just give some of your inner thoughts about the place and Coney Island and handball.
And Pat over here, too.
No, we're going to do Pat separately.
Yeah, actually, we should do Pat.
I don't know.
I'm glad you said that. Okay, we're not going to keep you on the camera. We know you got work to do, but we thank you so much for being part of our great handball effort.
Watch the rest of the tournament, though.
All right, Anthony. Thanks so much.
Can I ask you something?
Sure.
Is there a certain kind of gladiatorial feeling about this game that you can transfer to being a cop?
It's good for staying in shape. Look at me. I'm sure that helps.
42 years old. Look at this.
Hey, Pat.
Could we have a picture of you? What do you mean 42 years old? Look at this.
Okay. This is our pal Pat, and he's also famous. He was mentioned in the Sports Illustrated article also. Not only does he play a great game of handball, he looks fit and fine. He also sings, even while he works. And I want him to flex his bicep to show you how powerful this man is.
Man.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
You got to give me a glove.
A glove?
Right.
Now?
Thanks. Well,
okay.
hey now.
Okay. Thanks, Pat. Just right this very minute.
We're going to begin as soon as we possibly can. First, I want to thank you all for coming to this wonderful event. This is truly a memorable Memorial Day. And I want you to reflect for only a brief moment for all the folks that have served our country and have made possible for us today the ability to sit here quietly in anticipation of a wonderful athletic event. Imagine, if you will, over the past 4 days, players have given of themselves, their blood, sweat, and tears to reach this prestigious point in our tournament. We played over 250 games in the last 4 days. Now, I know you all weren't here for all those matches, but I want you to acknowledge now, with as much applause as you have in your soul, for this one gentleman who is representing the United States Handball Association. He's on the board of directors. He was the man who, with his lovely wife, was here 7:30 in the morning so that you folks now could enjoy this wonderful event. His name is Charlie Khalil, and his wife Nancy is here also. Charlie is right over here, acknowledging your applause. Now these events just don't happen. I mentioned Charlie, but he has a staff of people that for the pure love of the game also give of themselves. Bill Hendler, our chairman, Elliot Nadell, our treasurer, and the other members of the committee, Bernie Epstein, Rudy Rudell, Albert Apuzzi, who gives his heart and soul to this game, was in the singles and doubles, and he's still doing all the committee work. Now most of us are just taking a stroll. So I want you to acknowledge all these people. Please acknowledge all the referees. And I just want to inject a personal note here. It was only about 37 years ago that I was in a similar situation in the national championship, and I was lucky to win this prestigious title. And the great tradition from that time has gone on with such names as Vic Herskowitz. You all remember Vic Herskowitz? He's playing handball in Florida. The great Al Torres, the great Al Apuzzi, and the great John Durso.
Going back home today. Finance here.
The also met Joe Durso on these very courts in 1986, where he was able to become the singles champion in his own right. So let's hear it for Albert Apuzzi. Now, by a show of hands, still has read Sports Illustrated within the last month. Okay, if you haven't, I urge you to go over to our board, and you will see an article about Westminster at our tournament.
In the double.
The first national champion of this event was a man by the name of Jack Burns. He won the championship in 1924. And now our great tradition has carried us right through 1991. And you just saw a magnificent display of the champions to come on that third court over there, with Robin Sostre winning the league singles championship. As you know, I keep talking until the players say I'm not trying to warm up, but I keep talking anyway because I love this great game. And now I want you all to relax. I want you to enjoy the matches. And if you have any notion about having a collector's item, a souvenir of the tournament, we have them available at the desk. Thank you, and have a wonderful time.
All right, Ruby.
Don't wear out the battery. Do me a favor, will you?
I wore out my battery a long time ago.
I wore out my balls a long time. My opinion of the group of people, don't put this on the air.
Okay, I promise. Yeah.
That they have involved as far as the referees are concerned. Whoever you point to them is a mess.
Why is that? I mean, the referees, I think, when they make mistakes, they have to make a call instantly.
No, because they're not qualified. One of them is called that player, Danny Aloni.
Right.
He's a player in the tournament. He should not be a referee. Who's this guy in the back with the yellow, with the beard? Where did he come from? Overseas? One wall is a one-wall game. And the person that plays forward should never be the referee. His opinion of what a block ball is not the same.
Well, the blocking rule is different from forward, isn't it?
No question about it. Forward, you must move out of the way to let your opponent hit the ball. And one wall,
You've got to move out of the way.
forward, you must move out of the way. You must. Absolutely must. This game is a reverse.
Yeah, right, I understand that, because I play this game on turf. So, because I saw certain situations where the guy bumped into him and they didn't make it.
Bump into which way? If I bump into you, you're standing in front of me. It's not a block. But if you back up and I'm behind you, you hit me with your body, that's a block. I'm supposed to get out of the way. And I could be called out for not moving out of the way. Right in the rear.
I know.
Through the crack of the fence. That's the way to do it. Go right here on the floor.
First of all,
You may have it better.
The man that's on the long line should be further back. And those people should be out of the way. The rules are-
How can he move back though? There's
No,
no
no,
space.
the ones on the side. Over there. The rule of the game is if you run into any one of those people that are sitting, it's not a block ball. Therefore, they should move. They should stand there when you're playing.
Yeah.
They're too close. I know what I'm talking about.
Let's go, Albert!
Actually, I have some experience in handball refereeing.
Anyone that's standing causes a block ball, but if you're seated, it's not a block. You're too close.
So do you think Apuzzi has a chance
Do what?
to win?
If I stand on the side with my
Better's even money. He doesn't score 22 points in 2 games. You didn't hear what I said.
Levitsky, are you going to stay there or you're refereeing?
No, I'm not.
You're not refereeing?
No.
In fact, if you
You asked,
the mic is directional.
you asked me a question.
Yes, I'm sorry.
That is that Albert has not scored 22 points in 2 games.
Morris, you're supposed to be calling the game here.
Of course, I know it. It's hard to get a 4-wall man to be a referee who thinks contact is a block ball. All right? I told that to Charlie.
Apuzzi if I went there?
He's a player. He should not be involved in the game. No way whatsoever. For 2 reasons. One, he's a player. The other one, he doesn't understand one word. I know. Okay. This other guy with the dark glasses over here on the short line.
I know.
She set him up in a Piper Cup to watch.
I just said it.
Right, I've got to be able,
Comes around once a year
got
to
to be
play
able
ball.
to see. That's the
calling
only thing,
line.
which is fine. I can see now.
See, you follow me? I should be on that short line. So I'm not the referee. I should be on the short line. What I tell you, see them moving back? See them? See them moving back?
Yeah.
We got to get out of here. Absolutely correct. If they run into a seated spectator, it is not a block ball. You understand?
But somebody might get hurt.
That's why you're moving them out of the way. But if you run into a seated spectator, it is not a block ball. Remember that. That's why those people there. See them in the back over there? See them? Over here you'll have no problem. They don't come in the
Right. I was hoping you would win some at the
Yeah, that's good.
going down, you know?
What you're about to see is the 31st United States Handball Association National One-Wall Championship.
Get out of your way.
This championship, as you probably know, first occurred in 1924 when Jack Burns was the first recognized national one-wall champion. In 1919, however, the first four-wall national champion took the title. His name was Bill Ranft. And now, through the years, we've seen so many magnificent champions with diverse styles, and each bringing a different degree of heart to the game. And of course, that determines ultimately who the winner becomes. It's not necessarily the man who's in the finest condition. It's not necessarily the man with the most shots. But it's the man who can piece together a puzzle depending on what his opponent brings to the game at the precise moment when the issue will be decided. In front of you is Morris Levitsky, who is one of the all-time great referees of the sport. He's also a former national AAU chairman for many years. So the role he played was very important too in the continuity of the game.
Yeah.
We're just about to start. Albert, of course, fellow in the bluish shorts, he likes to take a tremendously long warm-up. Durso, in the red shorts, typically didn't take much of a warm-up, but he's been advised because of a possible bad back spasm or his knee giving out. Notice the knee brace, the black knee brace on his left knee. Okay, there's nothing wrong with him at the moment. These are just preventive measures. But what you're looking at are two of the finest all-time one-wall singles players. Joe has dominated the sport for the last 10 years. Albert, unfortunately, was always in a position to advance to the finals, only to meet Joe. But in 1986, Albert was able to eke out a 21-17 tie-breaking championship medal. Now, what's unusual about this contest today, we usually extend this tournament over 5 or 6 weeks. What we've done now for the first time is to combine all the events other than the juniors and to compress all the activity into a mere 4 days. What that meant was the players had to play multiple matches, sometimes in both singles and doubles. So therefore, the truly fittest athlete has a tremendous input into the outcome of this game. Albert, the smaller man, fast on his feet, tremendous lateral movement, catches up to virtually every ball, and many times dives headlong into the front court in order to make virtually impossible retrieves. Durso, the taller man, which is quite unusual in this sport, that a tall man would have so much flexibility, combining it with physical fitness and a court knowledge that hasn't been come close to in many of the years that have just elapsed. We see that Albert has won the toss. It'll be a 21-point game. The player who first wins 2 games will be the champion. In the event each player wins 1 game, there'll be an 11-point tiebreaker. This is also an introduction this year into this event. What it means is that if you're used to playing drawn-out contests, 21 points in the 3rd game, all of a sudden now you're confronted with a new topic. Can I sustain my alertness for that meager 11 points? Albert has served, and Joe has not returned the ball in play. 1 playing 0.
Yes, Albert!
This part of the game is called the feeling out process, where both players try and get into the groove, trying to get their mental ability in line with their physical performance. This isn't easily done. Keep in mind they're playing before a very large crowd. Even though both of them are used to that, sometimes outside elements interfere with the player's psyche. So you must be very careful that you keep your emotional balance, whether it be by a spectator, an official, or whatever. The volatile characteristic, the nature of Joe Durso, sometimes tends to fall into that trap. That looked like a short, and the player on the line missed the first call of the game. He's got to take off his dark glasses. Yeah. Morris Levitsky, who usually is on the short line, is already cautioning the man that what he saw, he didn't see. Does not bode well, as Shakespeare said. That does not bode well.
On the outside, it's tough enough to referee that short line. 1 playing 2.
Okay, we're back in the action. If this short line man should happen to make another mistake in the next 3 or 4 points, he is going to take himself out of the game by himself.
The ball takes the
Now Joe has been scoring very heavily in the past matches with that overhand left-hand shot to the right corner. Keep in mind, Albert has been working these past 4 days and maintaining the integrity of the tournament itself. He's been here 7:30 in the morning. He's been involved with the seating. He's been involved with the administration of the tournament. Even though you're physically fit, sometimes the emotional drain involved with the work takes a lot out of the person. He doesn't realize it himself. He thinks he's physically fit, but the emotional nature of this game sometimes draws him into a pit which he can't extricate himself. Now Durso is probably going to try a lot of short serves up the right line. Albert, unfortunately, has played multiple matches in singles and doubles. Joe had a stroke of good luck by playing in the doubles and losing early, so that gave him a little bit more energy. He is in better condition, but when you come to the game of handball, anything can happen. Albert is a very excellent practitioner of the low cross-court serves. He has the ability to put it just behind his back over the left short line. There's a psychological element here too. In the last 10 years, Durso has dominated mentally over Albert. We used to make remarks about him. I like to call them the Batman and Robin of the handball scene. And I think that may be a factor today. Joe has publicly stated that Albert has really never beaten him. Albert is probably doing the right thing now.
Albert hasn't played for the last year.
If Albert does anything else but go for the kill and try and end the volley, he'll find himself in serious trouble. Joe is the master of the volley. He knows how to push the man from side to side and tire him. The one problem he usually falls into, he taps the ball with his left hand instead of being very alert to ending the volley. I think you're going to see a new Durso today. He's determined to win this championship again.
Albert hasn't played for the last year. Did you mention that to him? Had a problem with his arm?
The score is 5-3.
That's a gorgeous serve that he has with all those hooks moving. Very hard to pick up, isn't it?
As he warms up till about the 12th or 13th point, he will be entirely in focus. His body will be completely warmed up, and we have the first time out of the game pulled by Albert. See that? You know, it's interesting to hear the comments of the spectators. They typically say things like, player X has no chance, player Y will do all these other things, and invariably you'll find out when you get into the face-to-face confrontation on the court, anything can happen. There's a possibility of injury, there's a possibility of some bad call triggering off a mental spasm which will result in a player being taken out of the game. All of these things are possibilities, and despite that, the sheer physical force that you're seeing now of two athletes, their mental and physical concentration being focused right at this moment, is absolutely unbelievable. We don't know what will happen. We just don't know. I think there's a rule in handball that the referee should not play favorites. This was an obvious indication. Just teasing.